Okay, so this is your final exam. Let's assume that you've now come up with a design. You've got it all sketched out. This is one version. This is a different version that I made for before I got done with the second version. So I'm going to basically walk you through both of these, but primarily this. And these were my little sketches that I was doing on the side so that I knew that I was heading the right direction. I'm doing this on my desktop, so it's a slightly different view, but we're going to create a document. We're going to call it Midterm, and we're going to precede it with our initials because we're going to share it with Mr. Nystrom, and he needs to be able to distinguish one from the other. We'll make it public so that everybody can see it. It also doesn't count towards some limit that Onshape has for you. So here we are. My suggestion when you're trying to make something in 3 dimensions is, how are you going to make this when you actually get out in the shop? And with that in mind, let's construct it in the 3D experience the same way that we plan on constructing it in real life. So in real life, I would start with a solid cube that's 3 by 3 by 3. I'm sorry, 3 by 3 by 2 tall. So I'm going to come over here to the top plane, start a sketch, orient myself to the top, make a square. I'm going to use a center point rectangle because it'll just make everything centered. I'm going to dimension that to 3 inches and 3 inches. And that's it. Finished with that sketch. So check, good to go. If I come back over here and see if we can get to an ISO. Get to my ISO here. That's pretty much it. So now I'm going to go and extrude it. And it's going to say, what do you want to extrude? I want this surface to be extruded. Up is the fine direction. I want to go an entire 2 inches. Enter. Check. So I now have one sketch that's a block. I extruded it 2 inches. And this is now what I have. Okay? Put that back so that we've got right in front. So it really doesn't matter what I pick next, but I need to cut these edges off here, and maybe while I'm at it, I can cut those holes too. You can do it separately, you can do it together. So I'm going to pick this face, make a sketch, put myself oriented to that sketch, and then make a line that goes from the midpoint here, somewhere up to here, and I'll just make that whole triangle there.
And likewise, one here, come down to the midpoint there. And it's midpoint because it's 1 inch. And then we'll dimension these things. So this happens to be 1 inch. This happens to be 1 inch.
And I typically would dimension this, but it's already set to 1 inch. And hence it's gray because it's tagged here in the midpoint. And then I'm going to make 2 circles. Because these are going to get chopped all the way through to the other side, and the holes are going to go all the way through to the other side, I can just make the holes here. So, grab a hole, make a hole there, make a hole over here, quickly throw in some dimensions there. So we want this to be a 1/2 inch from this edge. All right, everything's black, which means it's fully dimensioned. Check out of that sketch. So we have this going on here, and we're now going to make an extrusion. We're going to remove material. The stuff we want to remove, or the shapes that we want to remove, this, that hole, that hole. We don't want to go in an inch, we want to go through the whole thing. So we're going to check through everything, and there you go. There's the first extrusion. I'm now going to come over to this side, make a sketch, view normal to that sketch. I'm going to make those triangles again. So we're going to come down to here, from here. And so it's hard to grab, like there's nothing seemingly to grab here. So before I do this, I'm going to use this little tool here. It says, hey, bring this edge, and this edge into the plane that I'm actually working on. So now this is in my sketch, as opposed to being back here at some distant spot. So that being done, I can now make a line from here up to there, and a line from here up to there, and then I can dimension this as an inch. And I'll say it again, I usually like to be normal to the plane so I can see it, but I think this might be a better visual for you guys. So there you go. I'm done with that sketch. Check. Make an extrusion. Remove material. What do I want to remove? I want to remove this and that. And I want to go through everything. So instead of being a blind, we want to go through all. Check.
And just for kicks and grins, we'll turn off the planes and make it look a little bit nicer. And as a final little guy, we'll go down here to parts, and we'll go to edit appearances, and we'll just pick some other color, just because we can. There we go. Okay?
So there's my block. That's what I was asked for. At this point, we're going to share it with Mr. Nystrom. So right up here is a share button. Now, I don't know how this is going to quite work, but it should be to snystrom at sad15.org. Okay? And it doesn't really matter to me which of these you would like me to have. I'm certainly not going to be the owner, but you can edit and share so that I can do these things. But really, I'm just going to look at it. So viewing is fine. Okay? And then share. I'm not going to do that because it's already me. Okay, there you go.